Welcome back to PSN Radio, the Jackals head. I got my guest of the evening, Carlos Mendez, on the line. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Tell us, tell the audience here who's listening in, who's never heard of you, who you are. I know that you're doing a lot of acting stuff now, so let them know a little bit about Carlos Mendez.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much, first of all, for the opportunity and introducing me, and I really, really appreciate it. You go way back, back from high school and stuff like that. So, well, my name is Carlos Mendez. I was born in L.A., raised in Miami of Cuban parents, and I was out in Miami for 27 years, raised out in Miami. It's my hometown. I love Miami, con todo lo cubano allá, and, just decided to, get into acting. I've always wanted to do it, but, I packed my stuff up and I moved out to L.A. L.A. is the headquarters for when it comes to Hollywood and acting. So I moved out about 4 years ago, and it's, so far, it's been going pretty good the past couple of years, with a recurring role in Parks and Recreation. I got about 4 independent movies coming out later on in the year. 2 of them are going to hit theaters, local theaters and stuff like that. And I got a commercial running as we speak and a few print ads. Just little stuff, getting my feet wet and getting out there and, getting people to know me and, trying to be, the best that I can and, trying to rock Hollywood and represent, the Cubanos in Hollywood.
There's not a whole lot of really talented Cubans in Hollywood. You're doing American parts, so it's really cool to see you doing what you're doing, man. It's much props to you. But what's the latest stuff you're working on now? Because I saw you recently on Parks and Recreation. But what's coming up, right now that you're working on? Are you working on a project?
At the moment, yes. I'm not working on it at the moment because it's in pre-production. But it's going to be a movie where I'm going to be playing a bit of a badass gangster, but who wants to get out of the life of what of the life of a gangster. But it's not your typical gangster. This is a gangster guy that is somebody who you can who still wants to do good, but his life has led him to do the wrong things in life, but with the good intentions of trying to take care of his family, and he's just fed up with it because he's seen the bad things that people do. So it's a very conflicted, good but bad character, but he really wants to be good, and he's trying to come up in the world and trying to go straight, but it's the life that he's known since he was a kid, and he's trying to do good by it and trying to make a difference.
Nice. So what's this movie going to be called? Does it have a name already?
They're working on it right now. They don't have a name. They just have a location, and they just, and they're getting everything together, but it's already been set to shoot in 2 months.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
Now, you got a lot of acting range, man, because, I saw you on Parks and Recreation. You're very funny also, man. What do you like doing more, serious stuff, dramas or comedy? What's your favorite genre?
Well, it's funny. Recently, I just found out that it's actually comedy. Doing the Parks and Recreation, and I did another live performance for NBC on stage, and it was all thank you, and it was all comedy, and I've always been like, I want to do drama, to get there, but I realized, wow, I don't think I'm a funny guy at all. But let me tell you, I've been getting all these funny roles and stuff like that, and it's like I'm not a funny guy, and and people laugh, and I just say I'm not funny, and they laugh. I don't think that's funny, but apparently. But
and here I am laughing.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I'm a funny guy at all. But it's funny. Like my sister's an actress, and she same thing with her. She didn't want to first do any comedy, but she's actually done some comedy, and she's actually really funny. And it's funny because my dad, here's the funny thing that's not really funny, but my dad's told me, he goes, you and your sister's niche is going to be comedy. You guys are really funny people. I'm like, Dad, I'm not a funny guy at all, and my sister didn't think so either, but, she's been able to do a little bit of comedy here and there, and I've done some comedy, and I've gotten good feedback from it, and I'm like, wow, interesting that I didn't even be getting any kind of good feedback from that. But definitely, I want to do it all, of course. I want to be in the thriller dramatic, and I want to be in the funny. I don't just want to pigeonhole myself to one, kind of genre. I want to be able to do it all, and I think as an actor, you have to be open to everything. And to this point, I've been lucky in just a couple of years of experience that I've been doing this. I've been able to go from playing a down and dirty, gangster to just a funny, upright, goofy comedian kind of guy. So I feel kind of lucky. I'm just getting my feet wet and doing all these other things.
Now, how'd you land the gig on Parks and Recreation? How'd that come about?
Oh yeah, that was such a funny audition. My agent called me. She goes, "Oh, Carlos, you got an audition for Parks and Recreation, and it's a recurring role." I'm like, "Oh my God, I would love to do that." I've seen the show, and with all the actors in there, Amy Poehler and everybody. And I was like, wow, it's such a funny show. It's like The Office. It's the same writers and producers as The Office, but in just a different setting. And it's got, Amy Poehler from Saturday Night Live, Aziz Ansari, and all these talented actors. And I went to the audition, and it was playing a guy from how to be, really funny, physically wise, and I was playing a movie star from another country and this and that, and I just went in there, and, they gave me the lines, I did it, and I'm like, I came out, I'm like, I don't think I was that funny. And then the same day, I get a call back, and my agent's like, you got the part. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, they didn't even want to, it's not even a callback. They just called you to tell you got the part. I was like, damn, awesome. They're like, you were the funniest guy. I was like, wow, again, I don't think I'm funny, but thank you. So.
And now you did 2 episodes. Is it going to become a reoccurring character? You're going to be coming back on the show next season?
Hopefully I will be able to be coming back. It all depends how it all ties in. When it's recurring, it all depends how they can tie you in again to the next season. And they said there was a good chance for the next season coming on that they would tie me in for my character to come back. So it all depends on how the writers write it. So.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best on that. I hope they, and I posted, I think, on the Parks and Recreation page. As soon as I saw the episode, I was like, you guys got to make Carlos Mendez a regular. Come on, you got to do it.
Yeah,
make him a regular in the cast.
I know.
You're really fun. And it took. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
Oh, yeah, so it's funny, I'm writing letters, I'm putting out different names, and I'm writing the writers, Parks and Recreation, we love Carlos Mendez, you should put him on, make him a serious regular, But it's funny, I think they returned all my letters back, and they rejected that idea from me, so we'll see what happens.
We got to get the coalition of the Mendez out there to promote you as a full-time member of the cast of Parks and Recreation. It is a really funny show. It's funny because when I saw it, I looked at it and I'm like, damn, that looks like Carlos. But of course, you speak Spanish in the episode, and it's a funny character. And I've always known you, like you said, to be kind of a serious cat. So I was like, wait, is it Carlos? And then I looked at it a couple times, and I went, let me go on the website and confirm if this is Carlos. And then, sure enough, it was Carlos, and that the rest is history. But that's a really cool gig to get, man. I mean, the NBC is treating you well, so hopefully, it becomes a reoccurring thing. But what kind of roles? I mean, besides TV, are you looking to do something that, like in the comic book genre? Is there any type of role that you haven't done yet that you really want to sink your teeth into?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would really love to do is tackle a superhero, tackle a hero. Like there isn't, any really that I know of. I mean, I'm a big comic book fan and stuff like that. I don't see too many Latino heroes, Hispanic or anything like that. But like if they ever did a reboot of like Punisher again, I feel like I can maybe pull something off like that. It's kind of tricky because, like, of course, people look at me and they're like, oh, Latino, or if not Latino, he's something, exotic. Where is he from? I don't necessarily obviously come off as American looking, even though I think, with the right angles and not tanning, I could probably pass for a gringo. But it all depends. But, yeah, I definitely would love to do something like that. Like, if you ever did, again, the Punisher, I mean, the Punisher is, dark hair, dark eyes, like in the comic books, he's not Latino, but, again, with the right camera angles, Tom Cruise played German and he didn't even look German or spoke German, I mean, anything's possible in Hollywood. How many times do you have an American actor play a Latino, which I've seen in movies, And, so, it could be vice versa, I could be a Latino playing an American, who knows, there's a lot of things that can be done.
You know what would be really great? In the comic books now they have a black Latino, a half black and half Latino Spider-Man. I don't know if you heard about this new thing now, this new comic book line. The Ultimate Spider-Man. They actually killed off Peter Parker, and now they have a half black, half Latino Spider-Man. So it's kind of like the trend they're going with in Hollywood for these superhero comic books and movies. They just cast Lawrence Fishburne to play Perry White in the new Superman movie. So they're kind of going in a little bit more exotic. So you might have a chance at the Punisher, my friend.
Yeah, that's right. Lawrence Fishburne is Perry White, and as you see back in the comic books and the movies, Perry White is White, the editor. So I'm
his name is White, for crying out loud.
Yeah, his name is White, exactly.
White.
And I'm so glad and I'm so happy they did things like that, and they kind of move it around and shift it around like that because it just gives more opportunity, more, a different angle. Finally they got somebody other than a white person, gringo, American, however you want to say it, to play that part, which is awesome. So yeah, hopefully maybe if they ever do the reboot of Punisher, I feel like that's a role I can definitely tackle and, come across, and, and I believe I'd be able to do that role. I mean, no disrespect to, like, Thomas Jane, who did it, and the other gentleman, I forgot his name right now. I mean, they did great roles, but, they're rebooting everything. They're rebooting, Spider-Man again. They're rebooting, Daredevil and all these comic book heroes. Why not, reboot, Punisher one more time and see what happens,
Yeah, I agree. Why not? They've rebooted it like 3 times, Another incarnation is not going to kill anybody, so that'd be kind of cool. So Punisher, that's the one you'd like to do, huh? The Punisher.
Yes.
As a Latino working trying to get into Hollywood, have you really found that is it been difficult to really get juicy roles? I mean, as a Cuban, because you're right. The first thing they see is, well, his name is Mendez, he's Latino. Has that really been like an issue so far?
Well, an issue in the sense that, like, they, like, a lot of Latinos, they expect everybody to have a really thick accent. They expect you to talk like this. Oh, my English is not very good looking. I'm sorry, type of thing. And I'm so, my English is like this. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. They expect you to. That's the problem. They expect a lot in Hollywood. And I know I have an accent in English, of course. But then again, if you really think about it, everybody's got an accent wherever they're from. But it is a bit of a challenge. And I refuse to take certain roles like that, because I don't just want to, show that the Latinos all have to have an accent. I'm a Latino. I'm born here in America. I'm an American Latino. I'm American Cuban. I was born and raised in America. I just don't look, like a gringo or speak like I'm from Texas or, I'm Southern or anything like that. But that's the part that's a little challenging. They expect you to have sometimes accents, And I'll tell you this, I took the role of Parks and Recreation where the guy has an accent, but it was a funny role. It was a funny thing, like the guy wasn't very, it was different. And it all depends on the role, of course. I'm not against having an accent, like a thick accent, depending if the role is funny or where the guy's from or anything like that, or if I have to play like a Russian.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, would you in the future, consider not, even looking at scripts if the character is a Latino, just to kind of stay away from that stereotype? Is that something you would ever consider doing?
Sorry, you broke up again. Broke for a second. What'd you say?
Oh, no. I was saying that, in the future, would you ever consider, just not looking at scripts to have Latino characters as the character they're asking you to read for, unless it's, just a regular character, that the actual country of origin is not important, that it's just this is a regular character and you're just playing, a normal white guy character. I mean, would you at one point say, okay, I'm not accepting any more, scripts where it's all stereotypical?
No, I still would take a look at it and read it and see the substance of the script and how good is it, where's the character coming from, what is the point of the story. I still want to look at everything, because I would hate to just judge a book by its cover, like sometimes it happens. I want to be able to read the whole thing and see, and maybe I can, in the end, put my own spin on it and, talk to the producer and director and be like, well, what if my character, didn't have this accent, but he came from here and he taught himself to learn perfect English or whatever, so I don't want to just say no, I always want to read the script and see if I can give my own spin on it and do something different. So I wouldn't want to just not read it just because it's typical or anything like that. Because you never know.
I got a question. You never know, but look, I got a question from our Facebook here. They're sending questions through Facebook as well.
Oh, cool.
In fact, anybody who wants to send any questions, the Jackal on Facebook, just look me up and send me a question. The question is, they want to know, Carlos, what is your favorite scene that you've shot so far in any project you've worked on? What's like the most fun you've had on set?
The most fun? Well, there's been a couple of different ones. I did this webisode series with Robert Townsend, and where I played like the gangster kind of guy.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was such a cool, and it's such a good series. It's called Diary of a Single Mom, and it's a webisode series for anybody who's listening out there. You guys, it's a really good series. It talks about the life and struggles of a single mom, how she's trying to raise her children, trying to have, put food on the plate for her kids, and trying to, have an education for herself. And it's a very, very real, very, gritty type of drama. And I suggest anybody, if you want to see something real and really good, just Diary of a Single Mom. .com, and you'll be able to find it with Robert Townsend is the director, who was an actor back in the days, and he does some acting still, but he's more into directing. But to get to one of my favorite scenes is I'm in the scene with Leon. Leon, he was in the movie Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, and he's done a bunch of the movies. He's in the movie with
Yes.
the basketball movie with Tupac and stuff like that. Let me tell you, that guy is such a great actor and so intimidating. I had this scene where I squared off with him. He's like the baby father of the woman that I'm with now, and I have another kid by that woman, and then we like clash at dinner because like my character had just gone to jail, and I get out of jail and I break into the home and I'm all drunk, and he's like, I don't want him here, and I'm like, who the hell do you think you are? And let me tell you, it was so much fun but nerve-wracking at the same time because he's so tall and so powerful, and his delivery of the lines, like inside I'm like scared and I'm like shivering, and I'm like, this guy's not really going to kick my ass, right? Because this is not real. This is just acting. But he was so good and so demanding, and it was like one of my fun things, and I learned a lot from that guy. So that was a really good scene, a really good project that I did, and I loved it. And, of course, Parks and Recreation was so much fun as well because I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, every turn, every time he would say something, you know, the guy that plays, Nick Offerman, you know, and everybody in the cast was so funny. Like, everybody would just laugh.
Hysterical.
Yeah, they're just so funny.
Hysterical cast, yeah.
I'm telling you, yeah, it's amazing, and I was just, it would just make me laugh, like the scene that I had. Another project that I did with Jane Lynch. Jane Lynch is so funny. Jane Lynch can say the car is on the street and make you laugh just the way she delivers it. And I'm sure a lot of you know who Jane Lynch is from Glee, and she was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yes.
You know, she's awesome, and I did a short film with her, and she's possibly one of the funniest people I've ever met and had the pleasure of working with, and she was just so funny. I mean, anything that comes out of this woman's mouth is funny, even though she's not trying and she's trying to be serious. It's so funny. It's just the way she delivers it. Her facial expressions, her body movement is just hilarious. So I've had quite a few good ones so far.
Yeah, you know, another one is like that is Amy Poehler. How funny is her?
Oh, Amy Poehler.
That's a funny lady, too.
Yeah, she is really funny,
she's hilarious.
too. Oh, my God. I almost peed my pants. Oh, I mean, no, I didn't mean to say that. I mean, I almost, no, I did. It was so much fun, fun at the show and stuff like that. I couldn't stop laughing. Actually, you know what? I don't think they'll call me back. I couldn't stop laughing. They're like, this guy laughed too much. You know, we want an actor that doesn't laugh. But it was hard not to laugh with all these great actors around me.
No, it does have an amazing cast. I really do. And like I said, I hope you get a regular role in that show because, you know, I'm watching the show now periodically more and more because, you know, I saw you on it. So, hey, guys, that's why I'm watching. You're getting your ratings points because he was on there. How's that? So get him on there full time. It is a really great cast. Would you like to maybe do a sitcom where you're more like the main feature, like an actual comedy type sitcom, like a Friends or something like that in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Something like Friends or even something like, 2.5 Men, you know. I mean, I would love to do something like that. And I want to be able to, peak at my comedy. You know, I really want to extend that as far because, and it's true what they said. I didn't understand this in the beginning, but I've always heard the rumor or the saying that comedy is harder than drama, and it's very true. It's very, very,
right.
very true because comedy is all about timing. You know, dramatic you can just stomp in and scream and fuss and fight, but comedy, there's timing. You know, if you don't time it perfectly and you say those next few lines that the punchline, it's not going to be funny, and you have to say it at the right time, the right moment, with the right expression, the right tone. And if you don't, it's not funny. And I find that very, very challenging, you know. Like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, I think, is a comedic genius, you know. Whether you like him or not, but I bet you there's been a movie or so that you've seen that Jim Carrey makes you laugh. Whether it's really stupid or not, or whatever it is, he's made you laugh because he's got the timing. It's perfect. It's awesome. So, yeah, I would love to do something like that and just expand my comedy.
That'd be amazing. And, yeah, I agree. Jim Carrey is hysterical. He's one of my favorite comedians, one of my favorite actors. And he's very underrated, which is, and he's another one of those actors like you who does a little bit of everything. He does drama, he does comedy. He tries to kind of do a little bit of everything, and he's really, just a super talented actor. And you know what? It's funny because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, Carlos, and I was telling them that, some of the greatest actors usually are comedians.
Yeah.
There's nothing harder to do than make people laugh. That's the hardest thing to do, and people don't understand that. That is literally the hardest thing to do, and to keep people laughing. So, I mean, Jim Carrey's a genius. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I say, comedy is definitely harder than drama, and the fact that you can get up there, you can make anybody just look at you, but to make somebody laugh and be funny and stand up there and be a comedian, however you want to look at it, like Robin Williams, who I think is another comedic genius. I mean, it's amazing. It's not easy to stand around in a group of people and make them laugh and make them like you, and then be funny at the same time, you know?
No, I completely do. Listen, Carlos, stick around here 1 second. We're about to go on break. We're coming up to a break shortly. Guys, if you want to get in on the line, please call on in, 786-245-8127. We're going to be right back here on PSN Radio, SoFlo Radio, Soup Media Network, with our guest of the night, Mr. Carlos Mendez. So get your calls on.
Freedom smitten, like a burnt mitten. Prisons outfitting.
All right, everybody, we're back on the Jackals Head here on PSN Radio, SoFlo Radio, Soup Media Network. And that on the air there that you're hearing, it's my man Thin C from Mo Thugs. Want to give him a big shout out. That's his track, I Know. Everybody go check out his mixtape, Cannibalist, at his website. You know what it is, ThinCMith.com. That's his website. Check it out. Go and support Thin C's music. That's one of my good friends that I've known for a bit now, and he's been on the show, and really cool dude. But another good friend that I've had for a very long time, and I haven't seen this dude in quite a bit, but it was just amazing catching up with him, is my good friend who's on the line here, Carlos Mendez. Welcome back to the show, bro.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on the show.
No, man, it's an honor having a friend of mine from back in the day who, you know, I can honestly say, because, you know, when you look at a lot of celebrities, and, you know, this is, I'm just going to be real with everybody here for a second. When you look at a lot of celebrities, do they put on a face like, you know, they want you to like them because they're selling themselves to the audience 24/7, basically. You know, that's why there's a lot of media stuff that you go to, like the red carpets and all that stuff, so people can see you. You put that stuff online as an actor, you know, so you can be seen. And a lot of them are fake. You know, a lot of celebrities are arrogant and are snottish and are just, you know, full of bullshit, basically. But you know what? I've known this dude for a long time, and I can honestly say he is actually a very genuinely nice guy. He's a very good dude. So I'm just happy that you're doing, you know, right with your life, man. You're doing really well. I'm real proud of you, bro.
Thank you, man. And that's a huge compliment. Thank you. I've had my share of, you know, celebrity run-ins here and see exactly what you're talking about, how they just put on a face for you to like them and stuff like that. But I again, being, you know, raised by my mom and my dad and 5 sisters and a brother, you know, very tight family quarters, and, you know, it's like, you know, one of the most important things before I'm an actor, before anything, is I'm a human being and compassionate, you know. It's like, treat people how you want to be treated, and that's if you live by those simple rules of just treat people how you want to be treated, I think you should be fine, you know. So, thank you very much for that.
That's a great model to live by. I kind of live by a similar model. You know, treat others how you want to be treated. You know, and it's funny, in the way the world runs nowadays, you don't often find people who actually, you know, follow by that law, by that rule, you know, by that model. You know, people are just, especially Hollywood, man. Hollywood's so crazy. I mean, have you gone bananas yet living out in Hollywood? You've been there for 4 years, man. How crazy is Tinseltown?
Let me tell you, it's very, very crazy, but I feed off this energy. And then I live right in the middle of Hollywood, right by the Chinese theater, walking distance to all the Hollywood stars, Walk of Fame, and I love this energy. I love it, and like I tell everybody, you are the master of your destiny. You know, you make whatever you want, and you feed off that energy however you want it, whether it's going to be positive or negative. Whatever you want, you're going to get it, but you have to make it, you know, that energy. It's like you make it whatever you want, and I make that energy positive. I make that energy work for me, and I take that energy and I use it to live every day there, and you know, and go to my auditions, and whether it's crazy or not crazy, whatever it is, I feed off that energy and I make it into something positive.
Look, if anybody's listening out here who wants to be an actor, what would you tell them? You know, what would be your advice to any up and coming actors who, you know, want to get in the game, so to speak?
Well, you know, my advice would definitely be trying to, you know, get into acting classes to get a feel for what it is to get into character, do, you know, short films, do any student films, anything to get in front of the camera, because no matter how much you act on stage, if you want to be a film and TV actor, you know, you have to feel the camera, you know, hit your lines, you know, get headshots, do all that kind of stuff. And for anybody in Miami who wants to be an actor, I mean, the best thing, and, you know, I'm not saying you should get up and move, but the place to be is definitely Los Angeles, is definitely California is the place to be. I didn't try too hard in Miami, but it's all the Spanish market. Now, if you want to do Spanish, that's fine. But if you want to do the English Hollywood, right. You know, it's definitely out here in L.A. And, you know, just doing little stuff, you know, just to get yourself prepared. Acting classes are the most important first step for you to take to understand the craft and know what you got to do.
Now, have you been doing, and this is actually a question that came from our Facebook account again, have you been doing any stage plays in the last 4 or 5 years since it's been out there? Have you done any plays or done any stage performances?
I've done just only two. This one local theater that I did out here in Hollywood, and then I did a live performance not too long ago for NBC, for all the NBC casting directors, executives, and it went really, really good. I got really good feedback, and I had a meeting with them shortly after that, and they were talking about this other show, Community, about maybe making me a regular on that, and it just,
nice.
Yeah, exactly, and just getting my face out there so these casting directors and producers know who I am, and it went really good. So again, it's all just about a matter of timing and knowing where to place me and where to put me and when. So it's just a matter of time for certain things like that.
Now, we have another question here. They want to know, what actor would you do a movie with that you would want to do it so badly that you would even do it for free?
An actor that I would love to do it. Al Pacino, then Robert De Niro and stuff like that. But I think if I had to just pick one actor, and they told you pick whatever actor you want, and this is the guy you're gonna do. But it's gonna be
actor or actress.
Actor, actress.
Whichever, actor or actress.
I'd say I would love to do a movie with Denzel Washington.
That's the man right there.
Yeah, Denzel Washington. I read up a lot on Denzel Washington, and I was reading some trivia there on, I love IMDb.com. If anybody doesn't know what IMDb is Internet Movie Database. It is your Facebook of knowledge of anything and everything you want to know about any actor in Hollywood and any movie. You just IMDb.com, and get in there. So I was reading this one thing that Tom Hanks, when he did the movie Philadelphia with Denzel, Tom Hanks says that he learned more just by watching Denzel Washington and acting with him than he ever did in any other movie or in any other acting class in his life. And I thought that was pretty powerful. And when I see Denzel in a movie, it's like he embodies the character. And Denzel doesn't let me down. Whether the movie's good or not, Denzel himself is so interesting and fascinating to watch. And that is one actor that I would love to work for free and be in a movie with, and just to be around his presence and learn from him and observe him and just taking all that energy that he's got. It would be just a blessing. It would be unbelievable.
We have a rebuttal here, by the way. Somebody's saying that's preposterous. Denzel Washington's never made a bad movie. So there you go. I agree. Yeah. Well, he's never really made a bad movie.
In my opinion, of course. He's never been in a movie that I'm like, oh God, I wish I didn't see it. And never has Denzel ever disappointed me. But I'm sure you can find one person in the 6 million people on this planet that would say, I didn't like that Denzel movie. Just one. So that's why I said that. But in my opinion, Denzel's never done a bad movie. In my opinion, he's never done a bad movie or never had a bad performance overall. So, it's all opinionated. But in my opinion, he's the man. That guy has never done me wrong, or any movie has ever been bad.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I still watch Training Day on a regular basis. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. So it is amazing.
And that's the movie that made my sister, she's so blessed she got that role with Denzel Washington, and he booked her.
Yes.
She did such a great role, and they got along great that she did another. He signed her on to do another movie with her called Out of Time, and wow, it's funny. I didn't even connect the two, but that's right. My sister's already worked with him a couple of times, and that's the actor that I would love to work with. And she told me that it was great working with Denzel. I mean, that's a dream come true, to work with Denzel. And she's one of the people that said she learned a lot from him, and he's such a gentleman and such a hard worker, and she just learned a lot from Denzel Washington.
Now, for the listeners who are like, who's his sister? Tell everybody who your sister is.
Well, my sister's Eva Mendez. She is about 3.5, 4 years older than I am, and she's been in the acting business. She was in the movies, Too Fast, Too Furious, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Out of Time. She's been in a bunch of stuff, and she's got more projects coming out later on in this year and going on to next year. And she's going to be a real big force to reckon with as time goes on. It's funny, some people still don't know who Eva Mendez is. Some people do. It all depends, who you're tying to. But she's definitely going to be somebody, to reckon with in the future. And she's going to take it to the top, and she's going to win an Oscar one day. I guarantee my life and soul on that.
Yeah, no, I think both of you have a good chance of winning an Oscar, no kidding. But you're absolutely right. But your sister, for a Cuban, she's really completely branched into mainstream Hollywood, which is exactly what you want to do. But she's making movies like with Will Smith, Denzel Washington. I mean, she's making big time, blockbuster movies. She is one of the best actresses working in Hollywood today. I mean, she really is. Would you consider doing a movie with your sister if the possibility arose?
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely, hopefully in the future and in the not too distant future I would love to, be on screen with my sister and hold my own against her, and whether I be playing her, her brother in the movie or just playing any kind of counterpart against her, I would love to, I think my sister, she's busted her butt a lot, and, she's turned down a lot of roles that were stereotypical and things that she didn't believe in to be in the place and the position that she's in now. So yeah, I would love to work with my sister. That's no doubt. I mean, that is something if I had to pick an actor and an actress, the actor would be Denzel, and the actress would be Eva Mendes for me to work with, and I would do it gladly for free, of course.
Of course. Your family is talented, man. Do you have any other siblings or actors or actresses? You have your sister, who is, of course, an amazing actress. You have yourself, up and coming, amazing actor. Is there another Mendez in the wings here, waiting to become an actor?
Yes, not directly a Mendez, but I have a cousin of mine who's pretty popular in Miami. His name is Carlos Canela. He's an actor, singer himself, and he's in a bunch of soap opera movies, soap opera television, stuff like that, in the Spanish world, of course. And I'm sure maybe a couple of people have heard of, Giancarlo Canela. He's more popular in the Spanish world. But, everything in Miami is all Spanish. And, with the Latinos and the Cubans and stuff like that. So, he's already done like a good 3-4 soap operas. He does singing. He tours the country, singing and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's a cousin of mine, and he's kicking some butt. He's kicking some butt, man. He's going to be like the next Mark Anthony, I'll tell you that.
I'm going to have to check him out. You have to send me some links so I can check out his work, man. I got another question here from Facebook. They want to know if they asked me here to ask you, since you like doing comedy, would you consider doing stand-up comedy?
It's funny. Here we go with another funny thing that's not that funny for me. I've been asked, Carlos, you should do stand-up. I'm like, I'm not that funny. And then they laugh, and I'm like, I don't get it, sorry, I'm not going to curse. I would love to do comedy, stand-up, and get better at it, but I just don't think I'm there yet, to do stand-up. But I definitely, it's something I would love to tackle. It's a challenge. Everything is a challenge, and I love being challenged. I love to do something that I'm not good at and get better and keep going. And comedy, I've never thought of myself as being good or funny, but I definitely want to tackle it some more and even do stand-up because it's challenging. It's very nerve-wracking and challenging to stand up a room full of audience and people and make them laugh. It's not an easy job to make people laugh. And I definitely want to tackle that on. No. Even if I got to take my
if you bomb doing stand-up, by the way, it's a live crowd. They're going to let you know it right then and there.
Oh, yeah,
so
for
it's
sure.
tough.
Yeah, they would throw, they'll throw like banana peels at you, apples, like you see in the movies when somebody does horrible on stage. That shit is for real. I'm sorry, that stuff is for real. They will throw stuff at you, and they will, boo you off stage. And, that's damaging to somebody's, pride, and ego is like, damn, I just sucked on stage, And I mean, I'm the type of guy that if I'm up there and I see that a couple lines ain't working, I'll just take my pants off and make them laugh. I know they would laugh for sure once I take my pants off. That would definitely work, but it's only going to work for, a couple of minutes. After that, I got nothing else to say. I'm just going to run off stage, But it's nerve-wracking to be on stage. Let me tell you, I give comedians, stand-up comedians much props because it's nerve-wracking and amazing that you have to know that your material works. If not, you don't have a career.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. And one of my favorite comedians has had a routine a long time ago, which was just hysterical, and he barely did anything on stage. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of his work, but if you really ever consider doing stand-up comedy, check out Andy Kaufman's stand-up comedy.
Andy Kaufman, okay.
And his routines. I know we were talking about.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about Jim Carrey earlier. Watch Men on the Moon, and then really watch Andy Kaufman, the real Andy Kaufman, and try to learn a little bit of, take notes from what he did. That guy was brilliant. That to me was one of the funniest comedians ever. And you know what? I've tried doing stand-up comedy, believe it or not. I haven't seen you in a long time. Like you and I, of course, we went to high school together. But when was the last time we saw each other? Like what, 98, 99, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was. Definitely. It's been a good 13.
Remember when we used to? Yeah, we used to hang out with Zeus. Remember back in the day?
Yeah, that's right. I remember. Jeez, man. Wow, how time flies, man. How time flies.
Well, in between all that time, I tried doing stand-up comedy, and dude, let me tell you, it is the toughest thing. I did it. I only tried. I think I was on stage maybe 3 times.
Wow.
In total, and it is one of the most toughest things I've ever had to do in my life. So much so that I only did it 3 times.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I didn't bomb. I didn't bomb, so I got nothing thrown at me, so that's good.
That's good. That's good. That's when you at least did a decent job where they didn't throw anything at you. But if anybody wants to try it, I say, you know what, grab like 2, 3, 4 of your friends or family members, sit them around, write your material, and try to make them laugh and see how they react to it. If they don't laugh, then you you got something there that ain't working. But it's not an easy task to just stand up there and make people laugh. It's pretty tough.
Now, there's a picture of you with a gun, actually, and somebody's asking me a question about that picture that they saw from the postings we've done. They want to know if you're doing action roles as well, or are you going to be doing your own stunts?
Yes, that's a movie that I did. The name has changed a couple of times. It was called Division 123, and then it went from Disrupt, Dismantle to Drug Cartel. I believe Drug Cartel Wars is called something like that. It changed it a few times. I kind of lost track. Definitely, I love action. I'm a big action buff guy. And I would definitely want to do as much of my own stunts as possible. That was a fun movie to do because I played the life of a millionaire. I played like a up and coming, almost Tony Montana type of guy. I lived in a mansion, had cars, women all over me, money. I killed a couple of people in the movie. I get into this fight scene that's probably the most intense fight scene in the movie. When we were filming it for real, it took 8 hours just to film, a good minute of the fight scene. 8 hours. That's incredible. And let me tell you, it was very physically demanding and exhausting for 8 hours trying to do something like that. But it was so much fun, and I learned so much. And it's definitely, action is definitely something that I want to be. I want to be one of those guys. I want to be able to put myself in the category of, a tough guy like a Vin Diesel, like The Rock, of action genre, with Jason Statham as well. Definitely want to blow up into that.
That's kind of cool. We need new faces in the action genre anyway, because it's getting kind of stale the last few years of the same, recycled action guys. So that'd be kind of cool, man. It'll be great if you can get, into that niche, the action genre. But that, it'd be cool because you really, with your range, you could do the action stuff, you could do comedy, you could do drama. It seems like, man, the future really, the sky's the limit for you, bro. The way you're going.
Yeah, hopefully, And one thing I want to mention, not just any kind of action. I want to do smart action. I think one of the best action stars of all time to me, but it's been smart, is Bruce Willis. With the movie Die Hard,
yes.
His movie Hostage. He's not just a tough guy who goes around blowing stuff up and just shooting people down.
Oh, you can say shit on the show. Don't worry.
All right, cool.
You can say shit on the show.
Oh, blowing shit up. You know what I mean?
Shit. Blue shit up.
Just blow shit up and kill shit up. He's a smart. The movies in it are smart action thrillers. It's smart. If you guys haven't seen the movie Hostage, it's a great movie. Watch it. I'm sure all of you have seen Die Hard, and just about any action movie that Bruce Willis has done. Tears of the Sun. It's a good action, smart thriller, and he really knows how to put it, and he really knows how to be that tough guy without being overbearing with muscles or anything like that, So he's definitely, that's the kind of action I would love to do, is a good, smart action. Not just a blow him up, sock him, rock him kind of, shit action.
Here's a funny question. They want to know, since they just cast a British Superman, would you be up for doing a Latino James Bond?
Oh, hell yeah. I would love to be James Bond. And let me tell you, it'd be hard to live up and anybody surpass what I think one of the better, possibly the best James Bond. With no disrespect to the other Bonds who played him, but Daniel Craig is just amazing.
Oh,
amazing. I think if you get him in his prime and get all the other James Bonds in their prime, I think Daniel Craig would kick all their asses at the same time. He's been great, and I would be open to something like that, and that's what I think, because you get all these British and English people who play these American roles, or again, they're getting an American superhero, and the guy that's playing him now is what, English or something, or British? And they're getting him, so why not get a Latino and put him in that, in that role as well? Like, I was saying, about, the Punisher and everything, and I would love to do something like that in the near future, of course, as well. And I just, I don't want to disappoint anybody, so I know I'd be on top of my game and do the best that I can. Because the last thing I want to do is ever tackle a role like that and then disappoint the fans and the people. I hope not ever to disappoint anybody like that,
No, I completely understand. Now, you're definitely a comic book fan, like we talked about earlier. What comic book movies are coming out? Are you looking most forward to? Batman 3, the new Superman reboot, Spider-Man, or the Avengers?
It's gonna be a tough one between the Avengers and Batman. Batman, if I had to only pick to see one, it would definitely be Batman, because I think it's gonna be the last one in the series with Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. And it's and I saw a teaser of it where they introduced Bane into the movie, and it's just gonna be incredible. And Christian Bale has done an incredible job as Batman. And I'm really excited to see that. I'm not so excited so much about the Spider-Man. I am excited about the Avengers. That looks crazy sick, in the sense that you got Thor, you got Iron Man, you've got Captain America, Nick Fury. That's going to be incredible to see all those characters come together on screen and work together to fight evil. That's just going to be insane.
I'm just dying to see Thor and the Hulk standing next to each other.
Oh, that's right, the Hulk.
Awesome.
The Hulk is going to be that's going to be a good one. Wow. I'm getting all excited.
Now, what do you think will be better, though? The Avengers or a Justice League of America movie?
That's a good question. That's a good one. What can be better? See, I like Iron Man. I think gosh, my mind is blanking. What's his name? Robert Downey Jr. has done a great job. And the Hulk, the Iron Man, Hulk are good, characters that I like. But DC, when they did the Justice League, that's Batman, which is one of my favorites. Flash is one of my favorites as well. And then, of course, Superman. So it's like, wow, you got three of my favorites, in the same league right there. If I'm not mistaken, you got, the Flash, Batman, and Superman in one movie.
Yes.
I think that combo, that trio right there, I mean, just having the Green Lantern, but just having Batman and Superman in the same movie, I think is more powerful than almost any other character you put together. I mean, Spider-Man's not with the Avengers, so see, that takes the equation out of that. But, having Spider-Man and Superman in the same movie, when they do Justice League, that's pretty raw. That's pretty awesome. And those are the two most popular, superheroes there is, I think, around right now. Those are one of the two most popular. So I think I'd have to say the Justice League. I'd be looking more forward to that.
It's amazing how popular Spider-Man has gotten over the last couple of decades. I remember back in the day when Superman was like the top superhero, and that was like the one everybody loved, and then all of a sudden here came Spider-Man, and became more and more popular over the 90s, and it's amazing. Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters right now, currently. Do you think he would rival like Batman in popularity and Superman right now? Would you say he does?
I say so. I mean, it's just
pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. Exactly, amazing Spider-Man. And people can almost relate to the kind of character, and it's gotten real popular, man. Real popular. It's incredible.
And just think, now he's half black and half Latino.
Yeah, right.
all kinds of new problems for the dude to deal with,
Exactly. That's opening up a whole new set of doors and stuff like that. So that's gonna be interesting to see.
That's amazing. So what is the next 24, 48 hours, in store for you? What do you got coming up in the next 40 hours? Are you going to be on set anytime in the next 48 hours, or are you just relaxing right now? The fans want to know.
Well, yeah, just today on Sunday, I'm just relaxing and, having this wonderful conversation with you. And but tomorrow I have an audition for a movie. Again, some auditions don't give you a whole lot of what can I say? They don't give me a lot of what the movie's about. I just know I have my themes, and I got to study a little bit. And it's a major feature film. So I just but that's all I know. I don't know who's in it, what's it about yet. I just know I got my themes, and I got to study now the audition tomorrow. And so I'll be doing studying for the rest of tonight and studying early tomorrow, and then hopefully book that audition, and it'll be another credit under my belt, and more exposure to be out there.
Carlos, listen, we have a caller on the line. Anthony P. wants to ask you a question. Anthony, you're on the line with Carlos Mendez on the Jackals Head. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, Anthony, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I've been, keeping myself updated with all the superhero stuff, and mostly I'm pretty much concerned about this DC universe reboot, and is really disturbing me right to the core, and it's really been bothering me as a longtime DC universe fan, especially me as a longtime Superman fan, and I got to say, I'm pretty much upset about it. I got a lot to say about it.
About the Superman reboot?
Yeah, and including the entire DC universe reboot as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about this, Carlos. There's been a whole entire reboot of the franchise of the DC universe. Like all the comic books, all the 52 main comic books are going to be rebooted and start from scratch.
Oh,
brand new.
I had no idea about that. Wow, that's crazy.
And all I got to tell you is, man, it is the stupidest and possibly the most worst reboot concept I have ever seen and I've ever witnessed so far.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. That's just studios, you know what it is in my opinion? It's just studios trying to, because right now there's a big craze, a big hunger for superhero movies. And that just feels like, to me, like that's the studios trying to cash in on something like that. And one of the things that bothers me is that when studios think that they're making the right decision for, like, when they're rebooting something or bringing in an actor that doesn't, fit the part, it's like, can you, like, please, do your research and at least acknowledge where the fans are coming from and what they think, their feedback, because the ones who make this popular, the ones who get this done are the fans in the end, and the ones who are, the true followers and believers of the project. So that's just studios trying to cash in on something fast, and that really does bother me.
And that's just downright bullshit. I mean, if you want to make the real money, just, if you want, you could create a new DC universe, or otherwise just try.
Well, no, I think that what they should just do is, listen to the fans a little bit. The fans, I think, are the ones that are going to buy the product at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, you're catering to a fan base, and if they're annoying the fan base, then they really should, check what they're doing, because the fan base at the end of the day is going to keep you in business.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you completely annoy them, you're going to go out of business, and then the DC universe is going to be bankrupt because nobody's going to. And already I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's already been, I think it was like a 40% drop in future sales of the DC publications of pre-subscribers to the DC, because people subscribe so they can get the comic books sent to their home and stuff like that. And there's ways of getting the comic books. And there's like a 40% drop already after they announced this reboot. So people are kind of pissed off about it, I guess. I'm on a wait and see basis. I haven't really read the first editions of any of them. I don't really read comic books that much anyway these days because kind of busy. But we'll see what happens. But Anthony, you have any other questions for Carlos here?
Okay. Oh God. Well, it's just I still got a lot to say, because I got several bones to pick with this DC universe, because, oh my God, I cannot emphasize enough how upsetting this is for me as a longtime DC universe fan, especially a Superman fan. Dude, I was planning to introduce my little baby nephew to comic books with Superman, and this bullshit reboot is really bothering me, and it's somewhat ruining for me and for my baby nephew. And I don't intend to buy any of their crappy rebooted stuff until they finally get the picture, get to notice what the fans, how they feel, and just get rid of all that crap and just give us back our originals. I miss my originals. Not only I want all the originals back, but give Superman back his American citizenship. That's one of the first things that disturbs me.
And eventually, I think that'll happen. It's just when they see that the sales drop and they see that fans aren't responding to what they're doing, I think eventually they'll go back to the drawing board and try to give fans what they really want. It's just going to take some time, and they're going to be hard-headed. And these are just big, major studios trying to cash in on something fast and easy, and that's the problem, and they ruin a lot of projects like that. But eventually, hopefully it'll go back. They'll have to go back and be like, okay, let's give the fans what they want, because, they're the ones who've been reading this and going up on it, and they know what they want. And eventually that hopefully will happen, that they'll just go back and like, let's give the fans what they want.
You know, it's funny though, but at the end of the day, it is all entertainment, and it's all fun and games. Anthony, thanks for calling me, by the way. But you know, it is all fun and entertainment, and at the end of the day, you know, they're trying to create something new. So I kind of understand what they're doing, why they're going this route, because they're trying to, you know, kind of think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they've already done 900 stories of Superman in one universe. You know, maybe they're just trying to refreshen the whole genre a little bit. But you know, it is what it is, man. And that again, you know, I'm all for diversity, so I kind of like some of the changes that they've done. Personally, like like the new Superman having a Black Perry white. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, see that's
that.
something good. Yeah, it's something out of the box and something different. So it's refreshing for certain things when they do like that. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying last night with my guest Don Smith, the best Kingpin you could ever cast was Michael Clark Duncan. I don't care who else you could think of out there. Michael Clark Duncan was the man. You know, he was the Kingpin. I don't care. You know, there's no replacing him. That dude was just fantastic. So I'm all into the diversity and, you know, thinking outside the box with some of these characters. But again, look, they got a Black Latino Spider-Man.
Yep. So yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, let's see what the future holds for us when it comes to that.
That might actually make me want to start reading some Spider-Man comic books again. It's been a few years. It's been a few years, man. So you got IMDb all set up. You know, tell the audience here before, you know, we move on, because, you know, we're almost out of time here for the segment. But tell the audience, you know, how some ways they could, you know, check you out and how they could find you on, you know, some websites, Facebook, IMDb, wherever you want to, you know, have people locate you if they want to locate you for a movie or something.
Yeah, definitely. All my information is on imdb.com. You know, my agent, my manager. It's even got my email address on there. If anybody just wants to see my reel, you know, any pictures, you know, all my acting stuff is on imdb.com. If you have any questions, you can always write me at imdb.com, or again, my personal email is on there. You know, I don't believe on having a separate email, you know, for my acting, and a separate email for my personal. It's, you know, cmendez78@gmail.com. I'll give it to anybody. I don't care. You know, I'm just a guy, just, you know, being an actor out here, and, you know, anybody wants to get in touch with me, please, by all means. You know, I'm not big-headed like that, or I think any better than anybody else. I'm just the next regular guy, just trying to do, you know, some damage in the acting world. So, but you can, you know, check me out on imdb.com, see, you know, what I've done so far, the little bit of stuff I've done. You know, my reel, my acting. You know, if you like me, you know, you like it, you know, you can always put a good comment on it, or however, and, you know, and I appreciate for anybody who does, you know, and I'm just learning. I'm coming up, and, you know, I appreciate any feedback and anything that anybody's got to say about me, and any advice as well, you know. So I really appreciate it.
No, and if anybody else wants to find out any information, they can't find it. I'll just contact us here at the show, and I'll shoot you information on them. I know a lot of folks in the Hollywood business, and you know, if anybody wants to contact Carlos, please shoot me an email, and I'll get them your way also. But Carlos, man, it's been amazing having you on the show here, man. You're really, you know, like I said, a really great dude. I wish you nothing but the most success, man, in the very near future. I hope, you know, your career just takes off and blows up, man. I wish nothing but the best for you and your family. So thanks for, you know, being part of the show here tonight. And, you know, man, we really have to have you back on, you know, periodically on the show, and you got to give us an update on what's going on with you in your life, man, because, you know, we love having guests come back and, you know, and dropping by and stopping by on the show here every so often, just to, you know, give it more of a family atmosphere here on the show. So please stop by again, will you?
Oh, of course. Anytime you want, man, you got my number. You call me, and I will be more than happy to be another interview. I love it. I love it. I can't help it, man. It's awesome. And thank you so much for having me. Of all the people you could have had, thank you so much for having me on the show.